just passing their 45th anniversary. So it's been around a long time, gone through the whole film to digital transition, probably pretty much ahead of the pack as far as making some of those changes. So it's been a joy to be part of BayPhoto, because BayPhoto has always kind of been on the leading edge of technology and adheres to best practices. One of the things I'm really proud of with BayPhoto is that they are a certified green company, which means that they do everything necessary to take care of the environment while working in an industry that in some cases has been known not to be so environmentally friendly. But BayPhoto is very good about recycling and utilizing recycled products and proper adherence to both local and state guidelines. So that's kind of a positive thing to be part of. BayPhoto's in the Santa Cruz area in California, and Santa Cruz, for those of you that haven't been there, or if you have been there, you probably would agree with me, but Santa Cruz is a great coastal environment. I hate to call it a city because it seems more like a community than an actual city. From that, I mean that the very open, people exchange opinions and viewpoints, and there's a great cross-section of people, a really good artist community. There is a University of California campus there, so there's education and arts and music, and of course there's things like surfing and beaches and all the things that go along with that environment. In some ways, Santa Cruz is kind of unchanged since I used to hang out there in the 70s as a high school student. In some ways, it's very much advanced since that point. So it's a wonderful environment to be in. It's almost separated, but it's still part of the vibrant state of California and all that goes on there. So it's a great place to be. It's a great company from the photography standpoint, since so many of the people involved are photographers, have been photographers, work as craftsmen in other trades before coming to BayPhoto and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of emotion in what they do, caring in what they do, involvement, and buying into the value of photos, photographic images as being capturing of memories or displaying of art, and being very personal to the maker. So all of that are things that I think helps BayPhoto be a little bit different than just a color lab, just a manufacturer. And it's a great place to work, and I hope that you find that it's a great place to do business with. So having said that, you want me to just kick right into whatever the presentation is going to be? All right, so let's do that. So it looks like I'm the only one online, right? Is Ron online, or is that just Ron online? Is Ron in the room?
Well, yeah, I just have it running on an iPad out in the back here, but I took off my video and audio.
Okay,
so
all right.
Feedback, but everybody, we're watching you on big screen TV.
Gotcha. Oh, I should have had makeup, huh? Okay, so my first comment was going to be turn on your chat feature, but don't worry about that since you don't all sit there having chat features. You can raise your hand, tap Susan on the shoulder, stand up, jump and yell if you have something to ask or something to share. That's fine by me. I don't have a real scripted presentation. I have an outline of things I'd like to cover, things I'd like to touch on. There's probably far more information than we can cover in a single evening, but what I hope to do is give you enough tools and information and direction that you can go from there. So one thing I'd like to start with is just show of hands. I can see part of the room. How many of you already have or have used BayPhoto? Okay. All right. So a lot of you are going to be familiar with some of this. Do I let me have a show of hands of who's not used BayPhoto. Okay, all right. Looks like we're about 50-50 or somewhere in that. All right. So those of you that haven't used BayPhoto, if you don't understand what I'm saying, turn to the people that have used BayPhoto and just say, what the heck is he talking about? And I'm sure we can make this work. So one of the things that Susan said in her opening email to us was that the group is looking for alternatives. Some photographers may still be relying on processing from drugstores, printing from retailers, or I guess the big pain was when Costco decided not to do printing anymore. And that affected a lot of people. And what do you do? Where do you go? How do you get prints made? BayPhoto is absolutely an option for you. 99% of what we do is online. It's uploaded via the internet. You can do it from wherever you are, and it can be delivered back to you or directly to your customer. So there's no reason that you can't utilize BayPhoto as an option for your printing. So I want to share a couple. I'm going to share as we go through things. Hang on just a second. Okay, good. I'm going to share a couple of videos. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yes. Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'll be bouncing back and forth. Usually the presentation is not the hard part. It's the technology that goes with it. So let's see if we can make this stuff work. And if there are any glitches, I apologize ahead of time, but we'll try to make this as smooth as possible. So let me, hang on just a second. There we go. Okay, a bit of an introduction here via video. Okay, I don't hear anything.
It's muted on the YouTube. Videos.
I see, yep. Let me start over. Okay, I call a mulligan.
You got pull the red thing back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now I'm muted.
Still muted. It's muted.
Getting volume on getting audio on a video, I'm not sure.
Maybe just kind of narrate as we go along because we're not hearing.
Turn on closed caption.
I'm sorry, are you saying something?
We're not hearing anything.
You're not.
So somebody said turn on closed caption. We just read it.
No,
No?
there's no closed caption. The
Okay.
video, there's some issues with audio on a video
Okay.
or someone sharing. I'm not sure.
Doesn't transfer over.
Can you just narrate it as you go along? A little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're not hearing that at all?
No,
No. Okay, I'm not muted. It's not on my end, is it? Because I'm hearing it just fine.
no, it's Zoom. There's something that has to be done.
Something with Zoom that's causing it to not.
I've never. Well, I don't know if we've ever done it.
Is it because Ron is muted?
No,
No. So are we saying that we just can't do the videos?
I don't think we can get the audio on the video. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, so that's going to change things dramatically on
You
my
could play
end.
a video and just kind of narrate what's going on. That would work. You know?
All right, let me try that. Thank you for bearing with me here as we stumble our way through this.
I think that one person suggested taking your earplugs out so it plays in the room and then maybe you can hear it from your roof. Like unplug your.
All right, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay. Let's try that. Let's see what happens this time. I'm gonna have to back it up, so I apologize in advance.
That's okay. I mean, it may not work, but it's worth a try.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
At BayPhoto, we are a team of inspired photographers.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Here.
Oh, awesome. Okay, here we go.
Artists and craftspeople. We have been serving professional photographers and artists for nearly half a century, and we pride ourselves on our quality, service, and innovation. Our quality materials and attention to detail set the highest standards that you can in turn deliver to your clients with confidence. Your images and artwork become heirlooms that will uphold legacies for years to come. We strive to be a trusted partner to our customers, and our friendly and knowledgeable customer service team provides support and care that you can rely on. Through our experience, innovation is what helps us stay at the forefront of the industry. This is reflected in our product line, technology, and integrated partnerships. We handcraft each memory and image that comes through the lab, transforming it into a work of art. We are photographers, artists, and craftspeople, and our passion shows in everything we produce.
Okay. See if I can find my way back to you guys. Oh, no. Okay, that sort of worked. You guys sort of heard that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that was just meant to be an introduction to let you know a little bit more about the feeling of BayPhoto. One thing I wanted to start out with, when you get to using a lab, especially a lab as large as BayPhoto that has such an extensive product line, you'll often find that the correct answer to almost any question is, it depends. Because everything depends on what you're trying to do, what the surface is, what the file size is. Everything is, it depends. We can do a lot. It all depends on what you want for an output and what you're providing as an input. So I don't mean that to be facetious or to be sidestep an issue if I say it depends to something. One thing I'd also like to share is you're probably all used to updating the apps on your phone, right? And we do that. Some of us do it weekly, some of us do it monthly, some of us do it every time we power our phone on and off. That's common to all digital equipment and all digital software. So updates are happening all the time. And so they're happening in the lab, they're happening in the printers, they're happening in the software. So just be aware of the fact that something you did 6 months ago may not correlate to something that you're doing today because of the update. So it's important to kind of stay up on what's going on. Now, sometimes that matters, sometimes that doesn't. When it doesn't is when you just let the lab make the call and they're using whatever the most up-to-date, most advanced, most correct equipment, output, software is. So there does come a point where you have to ask yourself, how much of the image processing and output do you want to do, and how much do you want to let the lab do? And I know that's a whole spectrum, from those that just want to capture an image and turn it over to those that want to capture an image, manipulate it and control it and refine it. And so in your photographic creativity, you have to ask yourself where you want to be on that spectrum. And it's okay to be in one place and move to another place. Any of that is all right. It's just a matter of how much responsibility you want to take versus how much you want to give to the lab. So be thinking about that, because you can do either. Now, before we go any further, one thing I'd like to do is just introduce you to the BayPhoto website. Almost anything you could want to know is on that website someplace. Now, I'm not saying you don't have customer service available. You do. And we pride ourselves on still being a company where you can actually talk to human beings. So you can pick up the phone and call. You can send an email. Email is virtually 24/7. You can do chats. All those things are available to you. But there's also a lot of information available on the website. So let me just kind of walk you through this a little bit to give you kind of a roadmap of where things are. Let me first make sure I don't even have to do sound for this. Here we go. Okay. All right, so you should be looking right now at my screen and you should be seeing the BayPhoto website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah, we see your
we
website.
see it.
Or we hear you? Did you hear me
Yes.
when I was talking when the website was up?
Oh,
Oh, no.
I can't hear you. I don't know. I lost you all of a sudden.
We saw the website, but we didn't hear anything.
Put an earplug back in.
Yeah, I guess you have to put the earplugs back in.
Try that
now.
again. Susan, say something.
I'm hearing you right now, but we don't see a website.
Point to your image.
One more time.
hear me now. Testing.
Hello.
Okay, I got you. I got you. You're back.
Okay. So good.
If we lose it again, we can put it
It's not on the TV.
It's coming back. I bumped the HDMI cord.
Okay, let me try that again. I'm going to share the website.
Okay, can you hear us now?
I can hear you fine right now.
Okay. Because there was a suggestion that when you put that up, you might have to put your earplugs back in or plug them back in as your microphone.
All right, let's try it.
But then we won't hear the video, so. But it's not a video though, it's just a website.
That's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, so let's just go with this. So I just wanted to introduce you to the BayPhoto website because there's a lot here. This is just the home page. As with most websites, there's headers across the top, metal prints, canvas prints, acrylic prints, frame prints. Those are probably the most searched in, right about now, so that's why they're at the top. But this one right here will give you anything and everything. So if you go to all products, you can find prints, proofing, wall prints, cards, albums, just all kinds of good stuff. And so it's just a good starting point, depending on what you're trying to get to. Now, one of the things I want to show you right off the bat, I've got a few things that I always mention to photographers. Sometimes they're aware of it, sometimes they're not, but some of these are my favorite things. And to start with, I want to point out down here in the bottom right here where it says specials. The specials is literally what's on sale or what's happening right now. So I would recommend that that's someplace you check frequently. This 15% off metal prints, that just went up today. It's what we call a flash sale because it's only for a short period of time. But right now there's a 15% off metal prints. It expires on the 17th, so it's only about a little over 2 weeks. There's a code right here, and that's for as much or anything that you want to do as far as metal prints are concerned. Also on this page is an offer for 20% off albums. And again, there's a code and an expiration date. And there's an offer for 20% off Tango drum scans, which are really high-end technical scans of film. And so I don't know how many of you are into film, but if you are, these are excellent scans. If you've got old negatives, previous negatives, or even if you're doing shooting film today, those are great scans for producing high-end prints off of our Tango drum scans. The other thing I wanted to let you know about is down here at the bottom, and it's the 25% off your first order. Now, for those of you that already are customers of BayPhoto, you've probably already used this. But for those of you that are not yet customers, I would encourage you to create an account. It's free. It doesn't take long, and you will get 25% off your first order. You can, if you want your first order to be 1/8 by 10, you can save that 25% off and use it on the next order when you want it to be 6 30 by 40s or something like that. There's no limit to the size of the order. So I always suggest to photographers that you make that 25% off first order as large as you possibly can so you can save the most amount of money. There is a code, and I'm giving that to Susan. I was going to put it in the chat, but that doesn't make a lot of sense at this point. There is a code for creating your account. That it's a link actually, and if you use this link, it will let the lab know that you came from the Shasta Photo Club, and anyone that starts will be tagged that way. And that's kind of a nice thing, because the more the response that we get from any given group or organization, the more I don't want to say we pay attention, but it lets us know that you're active in using the lab, which could involve activity in the future or something along those lines. So anyway, I'll share that code. I've already shared that code with Susan. She'll have that available for you as well. So anyway, the whole point of that is checking the specials, and I would encourage you to check those specials frequently. They change on a bi-weekly basis, sometime monthly basis. So keep your eye on that special and see what's happening currently. Okay. The other thing I like to point out is at the bottom of the website pages, there's a little bit down here, and some of these things actually come in pretty handy. The Contact Us link just opens a page with the address, the phone number, the 24/7 email address, the lobby hours. Some of that's fairly basic, but it's good information to know. There's also links down here for customer service, which is that direct email, the customer service manager. If you have something that's sales oriented, and even if you want to email directly to the president of the company, you can do that. If you have a question for accounting, those links are all right here. So again, that's down at the bottom of the page under Contact Us. Another nice thing, the special offers is down here as well. There's a couple of different ways to get to specials. Another thing, let's see here. Go back. I also like to point out the blog. The BayPhoto blog is a great resource. It has lots of different articles on how to use different products different ways. Some of these articles are written by other photographers. Some of them come from the lab, but there's a lot of good information in here. So if you do have questions about either ordering something, or probably in the blog, there's more of how do I sell it? What do I do with it? How do I make money off of it? There's a lot of things in here, ideas, generators, information, and there's page after page after page. So the blog is a good resource for you as well. So that's one thing I wanted to point out also. Another thing that I wanted to point out is this link over here that says support. Under support, there's help, FAQs, another link to specials, product templates, production times, shipping policies, all kinds of things that may come up and you want answers to those things. You can get them usually through support. If you click on support, you get a search box and you get some of the most common direct links. a lot of different things that you can do in the search box. One that I wanted to point out to you, Susan had asked me some questions in the beginning in the email about sending files to the lab. And there is a section in here on file size and file preparation guidelines. You can refer to this whenever you want. It's all on the website. But there are some good guidelines in here about file requirements, JPEG, TIFF, or PNG files. JPEG is preferred, and the reason for that is that most printing equipment in the labs today, in any lab today, is actually utilizing a JPEG file. So if you're sending in a TIFF, which is fine, it will probably be utilized as a JPEG when it goes to print, and that's true of almost any lab using automated equipment. Or I don't mean automated, I mean digital equipment. So there's a lot of information here on your files, capturing in RAW, utilizing Photoshop and that kind of thing. You do want to have an 8-bit depth on your file, and you want it to be RGB. The color spaces that we work in are sRGB and Adobe RGB 1998 or ProPhoto RGB. And there's a lot more detailed information. I'm not going to go into all of this, but you can look at file size. Some of the recommendations within here is people ask what file size should I send in? Send in your original, send in the biggest file you've got. Don't worry about sizing it down. And in some cases, don't worry about sizing it up, because the lab has better capability of doing that than you do. If you're worried about something or you want to test something ahead of time, you can do that a lot too. So you can actually get test prints done or test a strip or something along those lines. There is some documentation here about Photoshop settings as well, and that kind of thing. So I would really recommend that you look through some of the detailed information that's available here. There's also a whole section on advanced color management. And again, for those that really want to get into color calibration, monitor calibration, utilizing evaluation prints to set up your color and to communicate with the lab. Evaluation prints are a great thing if you're going to be handling your own color and density. Evaluation prints are prints you can order from the lab that are free. They're 8x10, and they allow you to send in images. We recommend that you send in a black and white, a color, and maybe a high key, maybe a low key. We'll print them on what our standard is. You can get them back, compare them to your monitors, and find out if you need to adjust in order to get the best out of the print lab from your images, your image files. Having said that, all products at BayPhoto come with the ability to have the lab adjust the color and do the density and color corrections. And if they do the density and color corrections, they guarantee it. And if you don't like it, you can have it done over. So there's a lot of information in here. Again, I'm not going to go into all of this, but know that it's there so that you can utilize it, refer to it when you want to, and that kind of thing.
I had a question about that, where you said if you had the evaluation prints done and then you compare it and you need to adjust your monitor or whatever, do you give any kind of guidance on how it needs to be adjusted, or is it just?
Yes. There's a lot of information on the website, and if you really want to, if you go through what's on the website and you're still baffled, you can talk to people in the lab. It may take a little while to get to the right person, but you can talk to the color management people if you're stumbling on those kinds of things. In general, just be aware, all of you be aware that, monitors these days are made to look bright and vibrant, especially laptops. They're built with the intention of you watching movies and things like that. And so they're sometimes oversaturated. They're sometimes overly bright. And sometimes your monitor is throwing off what your image is actually going to look like when it's printed. And that's one of the reasons for the evaluation print. So you can literally send your images in, have evaluation prints made, and then if they come back too dark, too light, you can adjust on your end, go back and get another set of evaluation prints and really hone in on what the difference is between your monitor and what the prints look like. Now that's, having said all that, that's without even going through monitor calibration and that kind of thing. If you can go through a monitor calibration with a calibration tool, you're that much further ahead of the game. And for those of you that I'm talking, a foreign language to, and you want nothing to do with this, you don't have to do any of this to utilize BayPhoto. You can send your images in. Every product that's offered is offered with the ability to let the lab manage the color, let the lab do what's best. And again, if it's not what you wanted, they'll do it over again. So you will get what you want from the lab. When you first start, it may take you a little back and forth to get that narrowed in, but once you get it narrowed in, you're pretty much set. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. All right, so let me show you. I want to show you a couple of my favorite things product-wise, because they're not always obvious. Okay, this is a fun product. You probably heard about acrylic prints. Acrylic prints are dynamic. They have increased contrast over paper prints. They have light that travels through the acrylic to hit the print. So you've got light coming in multiple directions. So it's really kind of got this luminosity to it, more so than just a regular paper print. But one of my favorite things are these acrylic blocks. And acrylic blocks they're fairly simple, but they're weighty, they feel good, they look good, and it is usually in addition to some other kind of print order, but it doesn't have to be. They're a great bookshelf item, a great tabletop item, and I'm going to attempt to show you this little video about acrylic blocks. So let's see if we can get this to work.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anya, here to talk with you about acrylic blocks from BayPhoto.
All right, are you hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Acrylic blocks are gorgeous inkjet prints face mounted directly to thick acrylic using an optically clear adhesive. The edges on these blocks are polished for a sleek and modern tabletop presentation. These make fantastic gifts or add-ons for photographers who want to make an impression on their client. With our acrylic blocks, you have a choice between luster or metallic fine art inkjet paper. Luster has a smooth finish, while metallic gives a subtle iridescent glow. We have 8 sizes and a choice between 2 different acrylic thicknesses. Our 1-inch thick acrylic blocks are available in sizes up to 6 by 6 inches, and the 1 1/4 inch thick acrylic blocks are offered in sizes from 5 by 7 to 10 by 10. Finally, each acrylic block is finished with a protective black paper backing to keep them looking great for years to come. To learn more about our acrylic blocks, please visit our chat room where we have live reps standing by to answer any questions you may have, or you can visit our website at bayphoto.com. We'll see you there.
Okay. Stop that. Let me stop for a second. All right. Quick question. Who is paying attention? Acrylic blocks are made with 2 types of paper. Anybody capture which 2 types of paper?
Metallic and matte.
I'm sorry, I can't hear that. Say it again.
Metallic and the matte finish.
That is not the correct answer. Anybody else? All right, let me try something else. Acrylic blocks come in 2 thicknesses. Did anybody happen to catch what the thicknesses were?
Inch and 1.25 inches.
All right, who said that?
Everybody.
Who said it first?
Rick, I think so.
I think I did.
All right. So Rich, you are the winner of a 6 by 6 acrylic block from BayPhoto. Thank you very much. The next time I show you a video, try to pay attention to the details because there may be more prizes coming. Okay. All right, Rich. Susan, will you write down Rich's name
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Know where she lives.
All right, so let's go back to
Everybody.
the website. Okay. I have another product that I want to show you that is kind of unusual. And that is our exposure prints. Are any of you familiar with exposure prints?
No,
Okay. One of the reasons I'm showing you this is it is a really cost-effective way to display images, and it's portable. These are prints that actually collapse. So they can be stored in very small amounts of room, and yet you can have large prints that roll up and store away. So if you're doing things like art fairs, print shows, or if somebody says that they'd like a display of your images in their store or restaurant or something to that effect, these are really high quality. They're 12 inkjet prints. Once they're on the wall and you're a few inches away, you wouldn't know they're not regular photographic prints, but they are more cost effective. And once you have one of a particular size, you can order remakes or reprints to fit on the framework at an even more reduced price. So let me show you this video and see if you can think of a few ways that you might utilize exposure prints. So here we go.
BayPhoto Exposure features vivid, sharp photo prints paired with a revolutionary mounting system for a gorgeous wall display. The lightweight aluminum tension system makes exposure quick and easy to assemble. And the specialized hanger ensures prints are always hung perfectly. Your images are printed on a striking vivid satin material using a 12-color ink set. The prints float away from the wall when hung for a modern gallery-ready look with no frame needed. Group multiple exposure prints to create beautiful wall displays and change them up as often as you like with exchange prints. Exchange prints are additional prints that can be ordered at any time and are designed to be interchanged with other exposure prints using the same hanging system for an easy and economical way to change up your displays. Exposure is an excellent choice for sharing your work at shows or selling prints in a gallery. The easy portability makes these perfect for shipping to clients or loved ones or bringing artwork home from a trip. For more information about exposure from BayPhoto Lab, please do not hesitate to contact us. We're here for you.
Okay, that's exposure. That's different, right?
yeah,
Yeah, kind of maybe gets a little thought processes going about something you may be able to do down the road. And another thing that they're really good for, you can get very large prints and there's a very low weight to size ratio. So if you have vaulted ceilings, if you have a summer home, cabins, a sailboat, a motorhome, these are all options where this type of print might be something that could be utilized. So when you get the exposure print, it comes with that tension frame that snaps together. It's really fairly simple to do. And once you have the frame, you can buy a duplicate print without having to rebuy the frame. Does anybody remember what that duplicate print's called?
duplicate print.
No. It had a name. It had a name. It said you could buy. No. All right. Okay, it was called an exchange print because you could exchange the one that's on the frame for a different one. Anybody remember how many inks are used to print an exposure print?
Well,
Okay, you all got it. You're making this very difficult. Okay.
I heard Francesca.
I think Francesca was first.
All right, so we think Francesca was first. So Francesca, by Susan's vote, you are the winner of a 16x24 exposure print. So we're going to get you set up to be able to do that. One thing I would ask you guys, as we give these products away, you'll get a little certificate to send in, have them made. If you can, bring them back to another meeting and show the other people in the meeting what they are. The acrylic block, the exposure print. If you can't do that, or if that's too much work, take a picture of the product, maybe with you holding it or something, and throw it up on the Facebook page or something like that. Just share it and let others know what we're talking about and what we're doing. Susan, how's my time?
I don't know. I
I
have
don't want- I
7,
don't wanna-
8
I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I'm going to keep going.
Oh, you can keep going.
Okay.
One question I had is
Sure.
how you decide. Are there certain finishes that are better than others for certain types of pictures? Like, do nighttime pictures look better on metal than they do on paper? Or is there any kind of rules of thumb sort of about that kind of thing, or is it just whatever surface you kind of like?
It depends.
First off, it's a really subjective question. Everybody's going to have a slightly different response, but I can tell you what I've learned over the years is one thing you want to keep in mind is where is the image going to be displayed? Is it on the wall, or is it a tabletop? Is it in bright sunlight, bright room light, or is it in a more subdued indirect lighting situation? You may not always know that. So subject matter has something to do with it, as well as where it's going to be displayed. If you're displaying a print where there's a lot of light and a lot of windows, and therefore a lot of reflections, you may want to go to a more satin finish, matte finish. The brighter and more intense the lights and the more directions of light, the more you want a matte finish as opposed to a gloss finish. Because if you've ever seen people, if you've got an image on the wall and you watch people look at your image and they're doing this to try to see around the reflections, it's probably too glossy. On the other hand, if it's controlled lighting, the glossier or the more intense the finish, the more contrasty and color saturated it looks. So it kind of depends on the light. Now, subject matter, same thing. If you're taking a landscape image outdoors and it's one of those super blooms and there's golden poppies and blue sky and greenery and the colors are just wow, you want to go high gloss. You want to make that thing just jump off the paper, and it could be paper, it could be metal. A nice gloss finish on a Fuji archival paper, a nice gloss finish on a metal print are both going to pop. And then it's more of a question of durability and how you're hanging it and those kinds of things. On the other hand, if you're taking a picture of a newborn baby with very soft window light in a high key soft pinks or soft whites, you don't want that to be glossy. You want that to be satin. You want it to be smooth. You want it to be soft. So kind of think of your images or your subjects as, are they hard or soft? Are they bright and intense in color, or are they muted? And kind of match the tone of the finish to the subject matter and the lighting. Those are just kind of what I've learned over the years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you guys have availability for a few samples of like your fine art paper or the different papers?
We do. There's actually, and I'll show you this on the website. There is a kit that you can buy that is a fine art sample pack that shows you the different kinds of fine art papers. There's another one that is press printed papers for books and calendars and things like that. And I'll show you where those are. I mean, I think the charge on this is $1. So when my suggestion for you on something like this is wait till you have another order and just throw it in the order. That way you're not paying for shipping or anything on top of that. The fine art paper is more costly because the paper products are more costly. I think that's a $20 or $25, but it does have multiple different papers, and you can't really see here, but it's feeling and seeing and even smelling the actual paper going to give you a completely different impression of the paper than looking at it on the website. So yes, the answer is yes. And I'll show you where some of those things are.
Then you guys have you can upload your product to be, or your picture through the website, but you can also use rows, right?
Correct. And I'll show you that as well. There is an web ordering system and there's a BayPhoto system. Before I show it to you, the BayPhoto system is a downloadable software that you can use on your desktop computer. The web ordering is on a website, so there's nothing on your computer. BayPhoto in general is more robust. There's more to it. The web ordering is probably, especially for beginners, easier to use because there's less to it. So it kind of depends where you are in your photographic journey or what that particular order dictates as to which one you use. Those people that are really familiar with BayPhoto and have used it really like it because it's got so many options and so much ability to communicate. People that be in the beginning stages, BayPhoto can be confusing. It's kind of like using Photoshop. When you first start with Photoshop, it's confusing as heck, but once you know what you're doing, you wouldn't give it up to the world. So let me show you a couple of things. Okay, back to home base. So we know where we're starting. Go to ordering. She's ordering online. So this would be ordering just online. You don't need any software. You don't need anything other than to just go to the website, upload your images. There are a variety of tools for cropping. There are a lot of different products and services.
Should we be looking at your website?
Yes, I'm back to the website. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm
For
back to the website.
You need to reshare.
Oh, I didn't do that. I'm sorry.
So much to keep track of here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, now I'm sharing, right?
yes.
All right, we're back to the home page. You can always get back to the home page by clicking on the logo in the upper left. We went over to ordering, and this has got ordering online, ordering BayPhoto, ordering Bay Designer. There's three different ways you can order. And that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Come on, where's my drop down? Oh, it's gonna be one of those nights.
Since we have kind of a short amount of time left, I'm just wondering, does anybody have particular questions before we have to let it go?
Sure.
Anybody else? He's kind of looking for things.
I guess the question I have is turnaround time from when you upload yours. Say you just want one photo printed.
If all you want is one photo print and it's literally just a paper print,
Yeah.
in by noon, out the next day.
Okay.
Most products, 3 to 5 days, depending on how complicated they are. You can always go online and look at the turnaround times and be more specific than that if you want to.
So
The
I
other
had a
thing-
question.
I'm sorry.
I just had a question about print.
Sure.
Like I got 2 prints and the facial tone was different on one than it was a little more redder on one as opposed to the other facial. There were similar pictures, similar person and the skin. And I'm like, I'm not sure if that was me or the print or my computer or the camera. Do I just call and ask?
You ready? It depends.
Would you guys be able to look at it and see like, offer a suggestion?
Are these prints that BayPhoto did?
Yes,
Yes. Start with customer service. They can actually, if it's not a long time ago, like if it's within 6 months, they
Yeah.
can still look at your order. So they
Oh.
can give you a little bit of an idea if those files were very different, and maybe that was the case, or if they were just printed different. They can actually, I believe, look at the color correction numbers and tell you if they were the same or different. So start with customer service and ask them, because they may be able to just answer your question and say, this is what it is, rather than me trying to guess.
that'd be great.
That's if it's, I mean, it could be, not to dodge the question, it could be a lot of things. It could be, was it outdoors or indoors?
Outdoors.
Yeah, it could be shifting light. It could be, reflection off of something as simple as reflection off of clothing, reflection off of building next door. It could be all kinds of things, depending on if anything moved or changed, that can cause that color to appear and disappear. And it could be in the file. So start with customer service and give them a call or an email. One thing I did want to show you, well, I can just tell you, you've got phone numbers, so you can call them. Sometimes the phone lines get pretty busy, so you can always do an email. The email is monitored round the clock. Now, I don't mean to say that somebody's always sitting there looking at the email, but there are people that check it throughout the night. So if you have an order question and you have the order and an order number, something like that, write it up in an email and send it, regardless of whether it's midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. By the time you wake up, they may already have an answer for you. So email is a great resource, especially after hours. And then the third thing is there is an online chat. Now, the online chat only works during business hours. Otherwise, it's going to just take you back to the frequently asked questions. But during business hours, you go down to the online chat and you can open up a chat, and you can still keep working on whatever you're working on as the chat opens and they ask you questions. So you could be at your computer, they can ask you a question, and if you're at your computer, more than likely you can answer it. And so I find an online chat a really nice way to communicate, because you can also think of something at the last minute and throw it in there and things like that. So you've got 3 main ways to communicate. Before you kick me out of here, one thing I did want to talk about was the metal prints. How many in the room have used metal prints before? All right. Metal prints, they're gaining a lot of popularity because they look great and they're very, very, very durable. They've got a very high, well, what's another word for durability? They're going to last a long time, especially if they're mounted on a wall away from direct sunlight, like any photographic print. And they've got a great reflective color because of the layers of dye on top of the metal. There are multiple surfaces on metal, everything from a high gloss to a matte. And there is a surface, there's a surface called shear. Have any of you used shear?
No.
The way a metal print is made is the base aluminum is covered with a white coat, kind of like photographic paper. If you just think of that white as the base that the dyes are being put on, the dyes are absorbed into the metal. It's a dye sublimation process. So it's not ink sitting on top of metal, it's dyes being infused into the surface of the metal. That base is usually white. On the shear product, they eliminate the white. And so the base is aluminum. What that means is that any of what would have been white is now going to be aluminum showing through. So it's not good for everything. You wouldn't want to use this aluminum showing through on that baby photo we talked about with the window light coming through. You wouldn't want to use it on a bride in a white dress with the aluminum coming through. But if you can picture a really tricked out Harley Davidson downtown with a wet street, all of a sudden that really edgy aluminum could look awesome. If you think of anything metal, hard edged buildings, cityscapes, sometimes that showing through of the metal can really create a different effect. There are effects now too, where they're adding color to the metal. There's a rose gold kind of effect that you can get that can warm up metal prints. So there are some differences that way as well. There is one of the key secrets that I like to share. There's what's called a metal print sample set. And they literally will take one of your image files and print it on high gloss, medium gloss, sheer gloss, sheer matte, and satin. They'll make a set of all 5 from your file, and it's, I think, 5 prints. It's actually like the cost of it. It's a reduced price to do that, and you can get them in 4x6, 5x7, 8x12. It's a great tool because you can actually take what would be your normal image, whatever you usually shoot, and you make this set. Now you can actually see, how does it react in gloss? How does it react in matte? How does it react in sheer? It's a really good tool to use. It just comes back to you as individual prints and all the different surfaces, but you can also get the different corner treatments. I don't know that you can see that. Yeah. So you can get the different corner treatments, whether it's a straight edge or a rounded edge or a more rounded edge, that kind of thing. Where are you? There you are. Anyway, that's called the metal sample set. Who wants one? Okay. Who's sitting right next to you, Susan, because she raised her hand first?
Janet.
Okay, so we're going to get you a certificate for a metal sample set. And the only requirement is bring it back to the group and show the group.
Okay.
Okay. Now, somebody else who wants a metal print. Okay. The front row seems to be fast. Either that or it's just because I can see them.
Yeah, see the back.
Am I missing somebody in the back, Susan?
How do you mount the metal prints on the walls?
Now,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How do you mount the metal prints on the walls? Where do you put metal prints?
The most common, there's a little float mount hanger on the back. Susan, can I show him real quick?
Yeah, we
it's
can
a
look at.
raised, like. Mine has- or not, and it's
Okay.
got-
Yeah, it's just a little square piece of aluminum. The size of it depends on the size of the print. And it is, it's got a sawtooth hanger cut into it. It's got a foam block on the back, or it's just bent corners and it's attached to the print. So it's a float mount. It'll literally float off the wall. It just takes a single nail to go into the wall and you can just hang it on there. There's a little hole and it's very nice. And you can hardly see it. You have to really get around to the side to try to see it on purpose. It's a very nice presentation. Anyway, there's a lot more. There's so much more on the website. I just encourage you to go and look around and take a look. There's a lot of videos. When in doubt, you can also go to the BayPhoto YouTube channel. If you're a YouTuber, just go to YouTube, find the BayPhoto channel. There's a bunch of videos, and some of those videos are done by photographers explaining how they do things, explaining in their computer what their settings are, explaining what they're doing in the camera. There's a lot of assets that way. So you can find out on the BayPhoto YouTube channel, on the BayPhoto blog, and throughout the BayPhoto website. There's just all kinds of resources for you that can help you create images, help you produce images, and help you sell images or present images to your clients or for your art.
So I have the link to the account set up that we can put on our private Facebook page for people to use the link off of there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I will get you the information for our winners.
Okay, very good. And if you get any pictures, if they do bring products back to another meeting, Susan, if someone can take pictures of them and show us their pictures, we'd love to throw it up on the BayPhoto page and all that kind of stuff too.
Okay.
Okay.
So do that.
Does anybody else have a specific question?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Susan, thanks for asking. Everybody, thanks for putting up for my stumbling, bumbling, and technical inability, but I hope you got the point. BayPhoto appreciates you and would really like to work with you in the future. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Mm.
Yes.